All right, before we get the show started, I have to give a huge shout out to a special group of individuals that I like to call my Patreon podcast producers. And you know what? They're all on Instagram, so make sure you give them a follow. Daryl at Your Level Fitness, Kaitlyn at Kaitlyn Elise, put 3 Y's in her name, Crystal at Reduced Fat Mama, Joey at Joey Losing Weight, Vanessa at Vanessa Ray's Journey, and Amanda at Mutts_and_miles. These guys are helping this show to move forward in a huge, huge way. And if you want to join this special group of individuals, make sure you stay tuned at the very end of the show for more details. Are you Team Apple? I got to shout out all of you checking out this show right now on an iPhone, iPad, etc. In fact, nearly 70% of you are listening to me on one of these devices. It would mean the world to me if you took a moment to leave a review. This is one of the best things that you can do for this podcast to help get the word out. And while you're at it, leave reviews for some of your other favorite shows. I bet they would really dig it.
Here we go.
Here we go, man. How are you, dude?
Oh, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm a little on the tired side, but nothing that won't harm a little podcast here, my friend.
Oh, hey, I can relate. I'm feeling that way too after work. So
yeah. What was your hours today? What'd you work today?
9 to 5.
Okay, cool. The basic 9 to 5.
Oh yeah, every Wednesday and Thursday.
There was a song about that, wasn't that? 9 to 5. There was even a movie, I think.
Yeah, Dolly Parton.
Yeah, I think I've seen parts of that movie, but I'm not well versed in it. So send your hate mail to at Gary Cantrell on Instagram. But yeah, there's.
Hey, I've never seen the movie.
You've never seen a movie, or have you never seen that movie?
I've never seen that movie.
Oh, okay. No, for a second it sounded like you said I thought it sounded like you said I have never seen a movie. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Triggered here. Something's going on, man. That's crazy. That would. Could you imagine a world where you've never seen a movie ever?
Oh my God. I'm blown away when like an adult says they've never seen an R-rated movie.
Really? What was the craziest example of that you've ever gotten?
I don't know. It's I think I'll admit I watched a few seasons of American Idol.
Yeah.
And I remember I don't remember her name, but I remember there was one contestant who, like, one of her personality quirks was she was some like 25, 26 years old. She's like, I've never seen an R-rated movie.
I like the voice you did for her there. That was classic. And then I liked how you're like, you were talking about how you used to watch American Idol or something, as if to say like that was like a big secret. Did you not want a lot of people to know that you watched it?
Oh, it's not really a secret. I didn't make it a secret when I was watching it.
Yeah.
But there were like some people who would trash me about it. But
screw those people. You know what? I don't remember who it was I was talking to, because I've done a couple of podcasts here in the last few weeks, but somebody, and they're going to get mad because they're like, oh, you were talking about it with me. You know who it was? Valerie. And that's who it is. And we were talking about American Idol. So don't feel ashamed, man. That was the show kind of crapped the bed in the later seasons, but it was fun while it lasted.
Oh yeah. Well, like once they started changing judges, or even as much as I love Steven Tyler and Aerosmith, like when they brought him in, it just didn't fit.
Yeah.
It was, but like once they started like Simon and the original judges started leaving and they were like swapping people in and out. Like, it's just, I mean,
I always miss
like
Randy Jackson, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It's a no for me, dog. It's a no for me. That was a little too pitchy.
Dude, I was blown away when I found out he played in Journey for a few years.
You and me both, man. When I found out about that, I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I guess he was on the later years of Journey, but that blew my mind.
Yeah, it was somewhere around like mid to late 80s he was in there with them.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to look that up right now. I feel like the last time I had you on, I looked up something, but I'm going to look this up now because now I'm curious to see like what era or what album he performed with Journey. Let's see.
I'm gonna say it now before like you reveal it.
Go ahead.
I guess it's Raised on Radio that he played on.
You looked it up, didn't you?
No, I didn't look it up. I just
son of a gun. Raised on Radio. You were absolutely correct.
Yeah, because Girl Can't Help It is on that album.
Yes.
And I saw he was in the video for that. So,
well, there you go. Now you know.
Yeah. So,
my jam on there was "I'll Be All Right Without You."
Oh yeah, he was in the video. Like I saw him in the video for that too. So it's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like. But I didn't know it was him. But I don't remember how I found out about that. About him being a part of that band for a time.
I found out on Idol. I think he like mentioned it in passing, like, you know, like a weird flex. He was just like, oh yeah, you know, when I was playing in Journey, it's like, wait, what?
oh, dude, he used to do that all the time. It's like, I don't know, a random band, like, oh yeah, like someone would do like a Bon Jovi song. Oh yeah, I worked with John on this album one time, and he would always like do that, like throw that in there.
Yeah.
Like if because like I don't know, it's some, like you said, some like flex he has, like I've worked with everyone, so.
Well, you know what? Before we get away from Journey here, before we get into like everything, what's your favorite Journey song?
Oh my God, I gotta
I know
think
there's so
that.
many of them.
I don't know if I have a favorite.
Okay.
There's Faithfully.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. I was gonna say, Who's Crying Now?
Oh, okay.
Now I'll tell people because that's kind of the I don't know if deep cut is the right word for it because I think it was a single, but actually it was a single. Now I remember they do have a video for it. But if you want to hear the best version of that song, you got to go to the live album. It's the Greatest Hits Live, the Live in Houston 1981 Escape Tour, track 6. Who's Crying Now? That is the best version of that song I've ever heard.
Oh yeah, I'll remember to look that up.
Second to that song, I was going to say Only the Young. That one is really, really good.
Yeah.
So, you know, our buddy Daryl, he always asks questions. He always makes his listeners do homework assignments after they listen to his podcast, as if keeping up with all his podcasts isn't a chore enough already. Yes, Daryl, I'm busting your balls now. Hello.
I'm so far behind. You ever get so far behind on a podcast that it like when you like open it up, it's like stop downloading new episodes. It actually asks you, are you still listening?
Yeah, I can't keep up with this stuff, man. I'm terrible with it. But real quick, I just want to say, everybody, let us know what your favorite Journey song is. There you go. You can DM us or whatever. Just let us know. There's a call back to Daryl. Yeah, no, you're right, dude. Like I'm actually terrible with podcasts because there's so many out there that the amount of podcasts I actually get to listen to is very, very small. Like, I mean, I try to typically stay away from a ton of them because I have to create my own, and I don't want somebody else's stuff kind of bleeding into like as like an influence, if that makes sense. Because when I was doing live internet radio years ago, I was listening to stuff like Opie and Anthony and Bubba the Love Sponge, and I was trying to emulate what they were doing and failed at it miserably, by the way. But with that being said, I had to like stop listening to so much stuff because it was influencing what I was doing. I was not able to separate the two, unfortunately. And some of that's on me, of course, but it was very, very tough. So the amount of stuff that I actually get to listen to is very small these days.
Oh yeah, and I've had people on my podcast too, which is the Joey Losing Weight. But I have 2 podcasts actually. I'm going to plug.
No, plug them, and then after you plug them, let's talk about you getting into doing that, because that's new since we talked last. But yeah, go ahead and give the plug first, and we can talk about it.
All right. Well, I have the one I started like soon after I was on yours the first time, but it's just the Joey Losing Weight podcast.
So what you're saying is you doing your podcast was inspired by doing this podcast?
Yeah, well, it's something I wanted to do for a long time. And then you were the first.
I'm just going to take the credit for it. Daryl, there you go. I'm going to take the credit because he gets everybody else into them. So y'all can thank me for Joey's podcast.
Well, I had you on mine and I gave you the credit for it then.
There you go. It's official.
Yeah, but I have that one, and then I have one that I guess you can say spun off from it.
Okay.
Which is Joey and Allison Mental Health Warriors, which I co-host with a friend of mine, Allison.
Okay.
And it started as a weekly series on the Joey Losing Weight podcast, but then I figured like it deserved to be its own thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sometimes that makes sense.
So I have 2 podcasts.
Not just one, folks, but he has 2. So it's something you were wanting to do for how long would you say you've been interested in doing a podcast before you actually said, all right, I'm signing up for one, I'm doing it?
Ooh, I know. It's been like at least a good 5 years.
Wow. It goes back that far.
Oh yeah, but it's like I would look up like how to start a podcast, and it's like, oh, you gotta. It seems like I didn't know if I'd be able to figure out all the technical stuff. Like I had, like back in around a few years ago.
Yeah,
it was like you had to buy the equipment. You had all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, like that's out of my financial range right now.
Sure. Yeah, I get it.
And then it's, I will give I'll credit a bunch of people. I'll credit Daryl, Crystal, Emily, which through them I found out about this Anchor app, which I record with. It's like, oh, all you have to do is just download an app and you can record through your phone.
Yeah. So, I mean, Anchor's really good for starting out. They are owned by Spotify, and so they got a lot of backing right now. Before then, even they were a force to be reckoned with. I remember Gary V talking about them a long time ago, and he's like, "Oh man, Anchor, you got to get on Anchor." Blah 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 blah. And so we're seeing a lot of people do that now, which is great. And so I look at it, as somebody like, who's been in this for many years, I look at Anchor like a great launching point, and it gives you a chance to really figure out like, do I really want to do this? And then if the answer is yes, like you really want to commit and try to take your podcast to the next level, then, after so long, maybe you consider upgrading equipment or purchasing equipment and things like that. Completely not required, but it's something that in the future, if you ever wanted to decide, because unfortunately with the Anchor, you don't really get a lot of control on the audio quality itself, and the levels can be all over the place. But there's even stuff that they make now, microphones that you can plug into your phone that you can send the signal to Anchor and at least get a cleaner signal. So, I mean, even at like $50 or $60, there are mics that you can plug directly into your phone that'll give you even better audio quality. So at that point, I think that's probably the next video I should do. I did a video about the equipment I use now, but I think maybe what I'm going to do is eventually buy one of these microphones that plugs into your phone and do a test on that and see like, what it sounds like.
Oh yeah. And that's the only issue I have with Anchor is just there can be episodes where I hear like when recording, like if I'm recording with a guest and like the audio will cut in and out. Like,
oh yeah,
I record every week with Amanda too, Must and Miles.
Yeah,
and so, but there's been episodes where I've listened back after they've been released and like our audio's gotten out of sync with each other, so it sounds like we keep interrupting each other.
Oh yeah.
So
Skype has that problem too, where they have like what's called like audio ducking. So like, if you were talking and it sounded like you were about, and this happens too, but I tend to like I make some edits so I can clean it up. But like, let's just say you were saying something. I'm feeling it. I'm like, oh yeah. I got this thing I'm going to say. And it sounds like you're at the end of your sentence. And then I go in to jump in with my point, but there's like this slight delay. So you hear my voice and it sounds like it's cutting off your voice. So then you might stop right in the middle of what you're saying to let me come in, and then or we talk over each other, and one person's audio, generally the person that I'm calling, gets ducked out or almost like muted kind of, and it just sounds terrible. So I go in and I edit and I clean it up when that happens. But all these things have their issues. I mean, unless you've got like a $10,000 studio or something, these problems are going to happen to just about anybody.
Oh man, and having the studio, that's the dream.
You're telling me, dude. Like here's the thing. Like I remember like wanting to go portable. I used to have the big board and I ended up selling it to buy a guitar, which I don't even play anymore. So I should probably go back the other direction. But I used to have like the mixing board, like a 12 channel for one mic, which is god awful stupid, but it had the better quality. It had more equalizer, tweaks to the audio to make it sound nice and crisp. And then I wanted to strip all that down so that I could have a portable recorder like I'm using now that I could take anywhere. And it sounds really good. I have a little bit of sweetener that I put on the post-production after I'm done with it in Adobe Audition. I have like this one-click setting that like makes my voice sound even better, or so I think, and I haven't got any complaints, so I think it's going okay. But I really wanted to get away from like the big setup, but eventually, now that I'm kind of doing this podcast and more people are hearing this podcast than generally listen to my old podcast, then I think in the future, the idea is going to be, hey, I need to get, some like a full-on studio kind of setup.
Yeah. And I remember you talking about you maybe getting to a point where you can take your podcast on the road.
That's what I want to do. I mean, that's the dream. That with the equipment I have right now, I can do it. No question. It simply comes down to a financial situation. The cost of traveling to these different places is really where that problem is going to be. And I mean, there's probably a way to make it work somehow. I mean, if I had my way, I would live my life on the road. I wouldn't even, have a one home base. I would probably, just travel constantly because I love the art of traveling, but that's the dream, man. Like, so we set up this little thing here tonight. In my mind, in a perfect world, I would have just like DM'd you like, yo, Joey, I'm flying over to Ohio, brother. Let's meet up. Let's do a podcast. Like that would be the dream, but that is probably way far off.
Oh yeah, that does sound sweet. And we just had a big meetup here.
That's what I saw. Tell me a little bit about that. How did that come together?
Oh, well, for the few of us who live in Ohio, and all the people that it was me, Crystal, Emily, Amanda, Kaitlyn, Amber Abels, and Ryan Tomko.
Okay, cool.
And it was just, so we planned it a couple of months ago, and it was just something like, I don't know who, I don't remember who it was, but someone said like I just want to meet all of you before we all meet at Flying Pig next year.
Right.
And so we set it up, and then I was the one who lived in Akron. I happened to be the meeting point for everyone. So yeah, it was awesome.
I think I passed through Akron on my way to Sandusky a couple of weeks ago. I was up there for Cedar Point, and I think I had to pass through Akron or pass over it or something. Let me look at the map. I could probably tell you exactly where I went, but yeah, I passed through there or something like that.
Yeah, but
yeah, I went on I-80 up till I think I got on Route 2 or Highway 2 from 80. And then I went up to Sandusky.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just a great time, and it was just exciting to get to meet everyone, and it was the best Sunday I've had in a long time.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad you guys got to I'm glad you guys got to meet up. I did get to see Kaitlyn at Cedar Point and dragged her on a roller coaster. That was a lot of fun.
Oh my God. Well, first off, I need to be able to fit on a roller coaster again.
Yeah, those things, they it depends on which ones you get. I mean, I've lost a ton of weight, and there are even some now that are still a little snug. The ones in North Carolina, I will say, are a little more big guy friendly. I think I know that those I felt really comfortable in.
Oh yeah, but trying to remember the last time I went to Cedar Point. It was I don't know, maybe around 2002, 2003.
Okay, cool. And do you like coasters, or do you have any fear of coasters, or?
I mean, I've been on coasters as a kid. I enjoyed them, but I tried to this last, like, all those years ago at Cedar Point. The last time I went, like, I could only go on like maybe 2 rides.
Right.
So it, like, a lot of the day was just like me standing off to the side while my friends were waiting in line.
Now, is Cedar Point closer to you than, say, like a Kings Island, or?
Well, I don't know where Kings Island is.
That one is it's also in Ohio, but let me see, like, where. Kings Island. This is the Google show, ladies and gentlemen, where I just Google stuff while we're talking here. No big deal. Mason, Ohio.
I don't know. Maybe I think Cedar Point might be closer. I'm not sure exactly where Mason is.
Let me zoom out on the map. It looks like, it looks like it's on the outskirts of Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah. Cedar Point's definitely closer then.
Yeah. So how far are you from Cincinnati?
About 5 hours.
Oh my God. Wow. You know, what's funny is that when you look at Ohio on a map, it doesn't even look that big. And then you're like, yeah, 5 hours. I'm like, what? Like, I feel like I could drive that whole state in 2 hours. And it's like, I guess it's longer. It's more deceiving than it looks.
Oh yeah, definitely. And yeah, because Amanda went straight home after our meetup. I think it took her like 5 hours.
That's insane. I at one point, my buddy was saying, like, he was like, yo, do you want to go to Cedar Point one day and then go to Kings Island the next day? And I looked at the map and I'm like, holy crap, there's like the difference in time between the two. I said, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's a great idea.
Well, what would that be? Well, like, what's that time?
Oh, it was definitely like at least 5 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was just, whew. But Cedar Point is legit, man. That was one of the funnest places I've ever been to, for sure. That was a bucket list for me.
Well, that's awesome. And yeah, like it's been years since I've gone, so.
Yeah, they keep adding. Like I remember, I would say that park's even great just for exercise, because walking from the front of the park to the very back was like 1.5 miles. And so by the time we had walked all the way back to put our name on the list for Steel Vengeance and then walk back to the front to meet Kaitlyn and Kyle, we had walked 3 miles already.
Wow.
It was insane, bro. I'm telling you right now, we probably got in about 30,000 steps that day. It was insane. Any bloat I was feeling from the food we ate, it was pretty much gone within an hour after walking it off. That's for damn sure.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so, you mentioned the pig a little while ago. So I don't know if we had talked about it in our previous podcast, because I feel like we recorded in April sometime. And I think the podcast came out in May, I think, like middle of May.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't remember if we talked about the pig or not, but you are officially signed up, right?
Oh yeah. I signed up maybe a week after registration started.
Oh, okay, cool. And which race will you be partaking in?
The 10K.
My man. Team 10K.
It's my first time doing any race like this.
Oh, okay.
So it's my first time I'm going for the 10K.
Well, that's a hell of an introduction. I will say that. I mean, this is what you'll love is the people down there are incredibly supportive. I mean, at nearly every corner of the race path, there are strangers there cheering you on. It's nuts.
Well, that's what I heard. And that and like what I saw from this past one, like made me want to take part in it.
Yeah. It was a great community effort. And I will just say very, very quickly, I won't turn this into a big commercial, but I will just say very quickly that I am an official ambassador for the Flying Pig in 2020. And so if you're going to sign up, use the code Gary10. I don't make a dime off of this. Literally, I make $0, 0 cents, but I am here to help spread the word about this incredible race weekend. You got the 5K, you got the 10K, you got the half, you got the full marathon, all kinds of great family related events. They've got the health expo that'll be going on in the city as well. It's going to be a great time. So if you're considering checking it out, look up Flying Pig. I think it's flyingpigmarathon.com, and you can register any one of the races, 10% off using code Gary10. So there you go. Check it out. Join me, join Joey, join the whole gang. We're going to have a hell of a time. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. I can't wait. I'm nervous, but I'm definitely excited.
Oh yeah. I mean, you will be nervous just because, I mean, it's unavoidable just because of, the thought of running such a lengthy race. And I mean, I remember going through that as well. And granted, I had done a 5, but still a 10 seemed like very, very daunting. And so I can only imagine the nerves you're having right now.
Oh yeah, but I'm definitely excited for it. So it's going to be a great time. Going to be a great weekend.
Yeah, man, you're going to have an absolute blast. That's for sure. I can say that for certain. You're going to have an absolute blast.
Oh, and not just with the race, with like all the extra activities that we should be doing.
Oh yeah, man. We're going to be, doing all kinds of stuff. That's for sure.
I think Daryl is the organizer.
Well, Daryl and myself, we both are organizers of this thing. I gotta bust his balls every chance I get.
Oh yeah, don't give him. Well, don't give him all the credit. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. He is doing most of the legwork. I will say that's for sure. Just because, I know that weekend I will now have some obligations as, an ambassador. And so, my time is definitely going to be split, but I will be there, a lot of the time. So I'm, hangouts and all that stuff. I'll definitely be attending, a lot of those as well. So no big deal there.
And I don't remember if we talked about this last time I was on, but like you and me karaokeing.
Oh yeah, that's definitely happening. I mean, I don't know where karaoke is. I'll have to rely on your expertise of Ohio, and maybe you can look up some karaoke places downtown, because that's kind of the general area that I'll be in. But yeah, if you find the place, man, I'm there.
Well, we got to ask Daryl, because I don't know Cincinnati karaoke.
Could you imagine Daryl trying to sing?
Well, I mean, I wasn't before, but now I am.
I'm riveted. Like I just have to think of how Daryl would be if he was up there singing.
Well, what do you think his go-to would be?
That's tough to say, because he likes a lot of different stuff, much like I do, much like a lot of us, I think, do. We all have like very like diverse interests of music, like, rock to boy bands to whatever, so I think we're all over the place, all of us.
Huh. Well, what is your go-to?
I have, there's usually a couple of different things I'll go for, because I like to switch up the genres. So I'll look at the crowd and kind of see like what the crowd looks like. If it's like an older crowd, I'll do something like Eagles. If the crowd is younger, maybe something like current day country stuff. And then I always do like a huge genre twist. So, if that's like classic rock or country in the first one, then I'll go like heavy metal, Metallica for the second song, something completely out of left field. And then after that, I'll go into like a boy band, which is completely opposite of the heavy metal. There is a lot of like meticulous thinking that goes into the whole karaoke thing. I don't know what I think we had a similar conversation on the last podcast where you had talked about singing Adam Sandler songs or something.
Oh yeah, we can't. You cut that out of the episode, but I won't go into that again.
Well, I just thought, like I mean, I allow, pretty much any language on this show, so that's not really the issue. But I think that like some of the language in that was like extreme language that even the average person that doesn't mind a little bit of cussing's like, all right, bro, you guys are going a little strong here,
Yeah.
Once you start singing out like, genitalia slang, that's a different kind of ball game right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But it was funny. It was funny. Maybe one day it'll resurface in like a best of, and I'll put a big disclaimer and we'll throw it in there somewhere. We'll figure it out.
Oh, you still have the file?
Of course. I don't throw away anything, man. I keep everything, dude. Everything.
Maybe send it to me. I'll put it on my podcast.
There you go. That's an idea. The Joey losing weight sing-a-thon or something, There you go.
Oh.
So I think, okay, so we last talked in April. The podcast was released in May. So give me like a brief, like, from April to October, like what's going on in the Joey losing weight world? Like kind of like what's the latest with you and kind of where you're at with just everything? Like what's going on?
Well, the weight loss itself, I'm not keeping track of that like I was, because I'm going to be real here. My mental health got to such a bad state.
Yeah.
At a certain point that I ended up seeking out a therapist, and I wanted to make that a priority. So
good for you, man, for reaching out for help.
Yeah. So that's something I've talked about on my podcast, but yeah, so it's I'm not getting to the gym like I used to, but I'm trying to I'm looking to buckle back down into a routine at this point. It's October 10th when we're recording this. I'm not sure when the release date is.
November, probably early to middle November.
Okay, so like a month from now.
Yeah, pretty much.
I just hoping I'll be in a better routine come the time this episode is out. But yeah, I'm just kind of taking things slow for right now.
That's all you can do, man. I mean, it's a day-to-day thing. Like, I say this so much that people are probably sick of hearing it, but it's just so true. It's like, man, nobody's in a hurry. We're not racing for anything. Like, we've got our whole lives to do this stuff. And I know that may be like a controversial thing to say to some, because people are like, oh, well, if you take it seriously, then you should take it seriously and blah, 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 blah. But you know what? I mean, if your mental health is not 100% there, like there's not a lot you can do about that in the moment. Like, there's got to be like some adjusting, and you kind of just figure it out as you go along, and you got to take time and get that mental health in check first. Cause if you don't have that in check, then the rest of the stuff isn't going to work out. I mean, that's facts.
Yeah. And it's also with me, it's also been a matter of like, I just felt like I've lost some motivation is trying to find that again.
Sure. No, there's nothing wrong with that, man.
So it's, and I've gone through it I started this like, January 1st of 2018.
Right.
So I've had stretches where I've done great. I've had stretches where I've like fell off the wagon, gained some weight back. And so I know I'll get back on track at a certain point, but it's just, it's trying to find the motivation.
Well, I understand that, man. It's just kind of like I can only speak to myself, and I know that for the last month or so, I had kind of been in like this weird, unexplained funk. I mean, I was still going to the gym, but like I wasn't going at 100%, which you could probably argue is maybe almost as bad as not doing it at all. But I could just tell you that like I was just like in such a screwed up, mindset for the longest time that I just didn't know where I was going, what I was doing. I just didn't know. And then I finally, I don't know if I fully figured it out, but I finally just got in a spot where I was just like, okay, I can function again, like I can. And so it comes in time. I mean, you're not like permanently screwed up. I mean, at some point you're going to figure things out. It's, it comes in time.
Yeah. And I'm going to figure it out. And at some point again, I'm going to fall off again. So
of course it happens to everybody. Anybody that says, oh, I have a perfect day every day, they're full of shit. I mean, that's the reality.
Yeah. I mean, it would be great.
Sure.
But yeah, like when I started this, I thought like when, like looking at the chart on MyFitnessPal with the weight going down. When I first started, I was at like a pace, like, dropping. It wasn't the same amount of weight every week, but I would like have a loss every week for like the first like month and a half to 2 months.
Right.
And so, yeah, like looking at that chart that's on there, you're thinking like, God, dude, like, wouldn't it just be great if like at the end of the year, it was just all a downhill slide?
Of course.
On this.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that.
Yeah. But then, it turns, into like zigzags.
Yeah, it definitely does. I had this talk with Tammy, the Fat Girl's Guide to Living Healthy. I think I said that right.
Yeah.
And let's see. I just want to make sure I got that name right.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, the Fat Girl's Guide to Living Healthy, or to Healthy Living. We were having this talk about like, what kind of goals people have, and the talk about like when you make all your goals numerical goals as opposed to just goals of like, you know, feeling better, like mentally, physically. And so, you know, you're talking about like where you like your first year, you're just looking at a constant down, 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 or for the most part, down, down, down. And I think it's something a lot of people go through after their first year or even a couple of months in, that loss slows down. And so when you base all of your goals and all of your success on a number going down, that's where the issue comes in, because when it stops, then you feel like you're a failure, even though you're, you know, maybe you are staying healthy, you're still moving, you're constantly, you know, doing stuff, which I think is half the battle. I mean, man, it took me so long just to get myself in a mindset of loving to go to the gym, which I love to go now. But, so for me, that was like a huge win was getting there. But like, the point of what I'm trying to say is, and I hope it probably sounds like I'm mumbling, but just this idea of like, you know, when you put all your eggs in the numbers basket and the numbers dry up on you, then you feel like you got nothing. And so if you spread your eggs out in many different baskets and think about other things, other points of success, then you're going to be in a better spot, I think.
Yeah. And, I can't remember the last time I stepped on the scale, and I'm going a while before I do it again. Like I'm not even thinking about that.
Yeah, I wouldn't go near it. I know Daryl's talked about on his podcast before. He's like, you know, if you've had like some bad, like you're off plan or whatever, or like for the ladies, if you're having like your lady things or whatever, then you just stay off the scale for a week or two, you know, just you keep doing your stuff as best as you can, and you drink your water and you exercise as much as you can, or what, you know, whatever you can fit in. And then you just stay off the scale.
Yeah. And I know I'm getting my water in every day. I know when I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
And I can tell without stepping on the scale, like, you know, moving up another notch in my belt.
Yeah.
It's stuff like that. Clothes are fitting more loose.
Well, the beauty about all this is that you don't owe anybody anything. I mean, this is for you. You're doing it for you. You're going at your own pace. That, to me, that's all that counts. I mean, you don't owe anybody anything, and you're just doing your thing, and that's really what counts. I mean, you know, you just kind of figure out like what is your best pace and what you can do for yourself, and you just go on about your business and you keep doing it. And, you know, as long as you do that, you're going to be all right. And yeah, you're going to stumble, you're going to fall off track a little bit, and that's all right. You know, you'll get back to it when you're ready. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. And yeah, I don't know what more I can add to that.
Yeah, I mean, I know it sounds like a broken record because people feel like they hear it on every damn podcast, but like, I'm going to keep saying this stuff until it gets in your guys' head. So like, you know what? Like, everybody just stop what you're doing right now and just process that for a moment, please. You know, putting all your eggs in the numbers basket not going to get you very far. So, you know, it's a point of data. I'm not saying wipe it out completely, but just use it as a point of data and combine that with other points of data and other goals, and you're going to be a lot better off. So there you go.
Yeah.
And guess what? Next week, I'm probably going to say it on the next podcast that I haven't even recorded yet, but there you go.
And honestly, that's something it's taken me a while to get that through my head.
Sure.
So it can take you know, I get it. It's hard to, like, you want to get attached to the scale.
Yes.
And it's hard not to.
It is hard not to. And in a world of Instagram where you've got everybody posting all their updates, which is great. Share as much as you want. I think that's great. I'm not advocating for that.
If I go back to like weighing myself every week and I go down like 4 or 5, I'm going to share the shit out of that. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But, you know, it sounds like we're contradicting ourselves.
Well, I can understand how that. I can understand how that might come across, but I mean, it's just like because you're gonna have people. Here's the thing: you're gonna have the people out there that are gonna go against what I'm saying or what you're saying because there's another motive in it for them. They lost weight quicker, they've lost more, so they perceive what they've done as better than what you've done, and I have a big problem with that. Or there are going to be people out there that are listening that have promo codes for Herbalife or whatever that are going to, try to sell you on something. And so they're going to also try to debunk what I'm saying or what somebody like a Daryl is saying. I'll just send him to Daryl because he'll say it a lot more intelligently than I will. Like we're pretty much in line a lot with our thoughts, but like he'll just have a more intelligent way of saying it. So just direct all your hate to him. There you go. You see what I did there? I just deflected it onto somebody else.
Yeah.
People know where I stand, though. I think they get it by this point.
Yeah, you make it sound more intelligent than I can, and he makes it sound more intelligent than the both of us.
Well, there you go. Yeah, he's just got all the intelligence.
So
damn smarty pants.
I feel like if I get on there, I'm just like if I record my podcast talking about that stuff, it's just going to be a regurgitation of what he said.
Yeah.
But it's going to be like leftover French fries or something.
Leftover French fries.
Have you ever had like leftover French fries?
I have, and they're not very good.
Exactly.
They are not very good at all. I don't like them.
Like Daryl.
Yeah.
Daryl is like hot and fresh.
Yes.
French fries, and then I try to say is like French fries that are left in the refrigerator for 2 days.
I'm like the couple of hours later kind of French fries. Like they're cold, but they're not quite refrigerated. And then you're just the straight up, I got lazy and left them in the fridge for 2 days fries.
Yeah. Got to throw them back in the oven again.
And even then they're not quite as great, I don't think.
No, but I mean, they're passable.
They are passable. Yes. So what you're saying is you are passable.
Oh, it depends on who you ask.
There you go.
So people give me more credit for this than I realize that I'm doing.
Yes.
But because I think I sound like a rambling, incoherent mess at times, and
me too.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. I'm not perfect by any stretch. I think I've promoted this podcast as such that I'm as rough around the edges as you could possibly get. So there you go.
Yeah.
I keep it sounding that way on purpose so nobody can ever accuse me of not being intelligent. It's like, yes, that's by design. That's just who I am.
Hey, at least we know it.
This is true.
Yeah.
We're self-aware, Joey. We're very self-aware. But you know what? Hey, man, I mean, yes, it's easy to say, hey, don't sweat the small stuff, blah, 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 blah. You're going through something and that's okay. It's going to happen. It's not entirely avoidable. And at the end of the day, you'll come around the corner and you'll be in a better spot. It's going to happen. So it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said.
That's what I try. Now, what else is going on with you there? What else do we need to address here with the Joey losing weight at Joey losing weight on Instagram?
Oh, well, I thought about bringing this up with you because I had a boy band series I was running on my podcast for a while.
Yeah.
Which just turned in. It's just now a weekly thing with me, where me and Amanda just talk.
Oh, okay,
like
cool.
But
how's that
you
going?
gave me. Oh, me and her are like the best of friends.
Yeah.
No, it's great. Well, she was when we met on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Like her, Crystal, and Kaitlyn like all came together, and me, Ryan, and Amber were waiting at. We went to the Akron Zoo,
Okay.
so we're waiting out in the parking lot for them to show up, and then they pull into the space next to us. Amanda runs out, gives me one of the biggest hugs I've ever gotten. Like she damn near tackled my ass.
Nice.
But yeah. But I was gonna say we had an idea for like a special episode that we invited you to be a part of, but it just like scheduling it never worked out.
Okay.
Like everyone has, like we were gonna do a special like NSYNC versus Backstreet debate, if you will.
Okay, I think I vaguely remember something about this. Yeah.
Oh, but I remember you always said like you saying you were team NSYNC.
Yes, I was. Or am.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I overall am team Backstreet Boys, but there was a period with like No Strings Attached and Celebrity, like when those albums were still new.
Yes.
That I was kind of like, I started out team Backstreet Boys and like NSYNC put those albums out, and I'm like, ooh, I might be leaning over towards NSYNC.
Don't tell Amanda that.
Oh no, I think I have told her that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was about to say she'll probably knock you out.
But nowadays, because, and the thing about like doing that series with Amanda was there was a period, there is like a lesser period of Backstreet Boys that I kind of discovered for the first time.
Okay.
When like going through that series with her, but like I'm back to Backstreet Boys just because there's more of a catalog with them, and you know they're the ones still out doing stuff.
They are still out there doing stuff. I don't know. I just look at the songs, the quality of the songs. I mean, they're very close. I'm not trying to make it sound like, you know, one is farther from the other. I just think that the NSYNC is stronger in my opinion. That's all I'm saying. I think if you look financially, I think Backstreet probably has them beat financially in terms of, I mean, obviously what you said, they're still around, but as far as like straight up album sales, I'm pretty sure that Backstreet has more album sales than NSYNC does, but I just thought that the quality of the songs were just edged out a little bit bigger for NSYNC, in my opinion.
Yeah. But Amanda and I both agreed on this, that like the newest Backstreet Boys album is their best.
Oh yeah. So I heard some of that record, and actually a guy I went to high school with, this guy Nick Bailey, he's played in some like punk bands back in the day. He actually co-wrote a couple of songs on that album.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's like a big like songwriter, producer type out in LA now. And I haven't talked to him in probably a year or two, but yeah, let me see if I can look at, here we go again, looking up stuff, but let me look this up and see if they have the credits on here. So this would be the DNA record.
Yeah. Welcome back to Looking Up Stuff, the podcast.
Yes, exactly. Let's see here. What song did he work on? Where is it? Oh yeah, here we go. Nobody Else, Breathe. Yeah, it looks like just Nobody Else and Breathe. He worked on both of those.
Oh yeah. Those are, the whole album's great, but those two are pretty solid too. So that's awesome. What's his name? Nick Bailey.
Yeah, Nick Bailey's a songwriter, producer. He's worked with Maroon 5. He's worked with Blake Shelton. He's worked with my guy Ernest K, Chris Lane, Simple Plan. Yeah, he's worked with a bunch of people. So,
Oh, whole variety.
Yeah, Austin Mahone, Big Time Rush, The Cab. Yeah, so he's been all over the place. I mean, his musical taste, I think, is pretty diverse, and he's a hell of a talent, man.
Yeah. Well, the Backstreet Boys, like, they're kind of foraying into country a bit.
Yeah, AJ, he's doing a solo thing with the country stuff.
Yeah, and Brian has a son's like 16, 17 who is an up and coming country singer.
Yeah, I haven't heard all his stuff. I think I heard like one song that he's done. And then of course they had the BSB FGL collab, God, Your Mama and Me, which I thought was pretty awesome. So yeah, there's definitely been some collabs there for sure.
Yeah, but
I know. AJ. I heard an interview he did with Bobby Bones, who's a big country radio guy, and he said that at some point Backstreet is considering doing a country record, like a complete country record. He said.
Yeah, I did hear that interview too. So.
Oh, you heard that one? Yeah, it's a great interview, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know a big thing is like, do they think like Backstreet Boys will ever win a Grammy?
I'm sure they will. I have no doubts. So, well, I got to tell you, man, I've had some fun here chatting with you. I'm going to go to bed here soon. But before we go, man, I just want to make sure we got everything here. I mean, what else, anything else going on in your world, my friend?
No, not a whole lot. I just, I slowed down on the podcast a bit, but I still have that.
Okay, good. Where do people get that
at? What's that?
Where do people get the podcast at?
Oh, you can get it like wherever you listen to this podcast.
Okay, cool.
It's it's on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts. It's on like I do it through Anchor, so it's on there too.
Okay.
But yeah, just wherever you listen to podcast. I don't think it's on Stitcher or anything like that, but yeah, but it's on the big ones. It's on iTunes and Spotify. So
that's really the ones that count, I think.
Yeah, I have two of them: the Joey Losing Weight podcast and Joey and Allison Mental Health Warriors. And if you listen on iTunes, please rate and review both of those podcasts. And yeah, that's it.
So that's what you got going on in your world.
Yep.
My man. Tell the people again where to get you on the Instagrams and all that fun stuff.
I am just at Joey Losing Weight on Instagram, and the Mental Health Warriors podcast has its Instagram too. That is at Joey and Allison _MH Warriors.
Okay, cool. Yeah, check that out. And I want to say before we get off here, man, I appreciate you working with me here. I know the schedule got changed just a little bit, and I appreciate you bearing with me here on the slightly later time. I'm getting this whole schedule figured out, man. Like now I get up at 3 a.m. And so like I have a hard out, as they say in the radio business. I have a hard out at 8 p.m. That's when I'm in bed, everything's off and the lights are out. And I want to say sleeping masks are a big blessing, especially for something like this. But yes, I appreciate you bearing with me on this whole scheduling thing. It's probably going to throw off a lot of these podcasts, I think, in the future, but I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Oh no, this actually works pretty well for me because, yeah, I don't stay up too much later than you do these days.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, but yeah, I appreciate you having me on again. I feel like I'm in rare company, like a multiple time guest.
Yes, there are very few people that have been a multiple time guest. And actually, you know what? One more thing, I'm going to look up Mr. Joey Losing Weight. Let me see here. I'll tell you exactly who has been. I have a Google Sheet doc where I keep track of people that are a return guest. So we have my wife, Daryl, Willie Gillis, and let's see, Glenn Rodriguez and Cliff Ravenscraft. Those are the people that have had multiple spots on this program.
Wow, I'm honored.
Yeah, so like you're in like a top 5 or 6 of that. Definitely top 10 for sure. So there you go, man. You're in elite company there. That's a pretty good company to be in, I would say.
Oh, definitely, and I appreciate that. And yeah, just great talking to you again.
Of course, man. We'll have to see if we'll catch up again before the pig. I'm sure we will, but yeah, man, Flying Pig, I will definitely see you there, brother.
All right. Looking forward to that, and yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Definitely, brother. Well, thanks for coming out and hang out with me here on a Thursday night for the podcast, and keep on grinding with yours, man. Keep your head up. I say this all the time. It sounds cliche, but it's true. The best is yet to come, my friend.
Oh, I know that, and thank you. I appreciate that.
You got it, brother. We'll talk soon.
All right, take it easy.
Remember at the beginning of the show, I mentioned a little thing called Patreon? Well, I'd love to have you join me. But Gary, what is Patreon? It's a website that is helping small creators like me raise funds to further expand their creative visions. For as low as $1 a month, you can help me further my dream of reaching as many people as possible and eventually taking the show on the road to meet all these fine people face to face and add a video element to this podcast. If you were to donate $4 a month, you'd be hearing the show a few days earlier with no commercials and getting access to my close friends group on Instagram. Donate $10 a month and you get all that plus your name right at the beginning of the show alongside other producers. But act fast. That tier is limited to 10 people. I've got a whole lot more to offer, and you can get all the details over at patreon.com/Gary Cantrell. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you. Thanks so much for checking out the show, and I'll talk to you again really soon. hardworkalwayswins.com. It's more than just a clothing line. It's my mantra. I speak it, I wear it, I live it, and I'd love to have you join the Hard Work Squad. We're constantly adding new items to the store, including our brand new Future-ish hats, which come in a variety of colors, including camo. I mean, who doesn't like camo? We also just put our famous Splash logo in gold to match our OG logo, and there's so much more here. You just got to check it out. Here's the best part. Use the code PODCAST at checkout to take 10% off of your very first order and join the Hard Work Squad today.